Hey guys, a lot of my customers have said, how do I lower my utility bills on my air conditioning? And how do I extend the life of the equipment? And how do I get better comfort? I'm Brent Garrett with Sirius Plumbing and Air Conditioning. Let's just talk about what makes up your heating and cooling system first. I'm standing by the condenser. This is your outdoor unit. That's one of the three major components. The other ones are really inside your home. It might be in your closet or in your garage. In the case with this system, it's in the attic, and we're going to show you that here in just a minute. But what I did want to stress to you is that the condenser is only a part of the cooling side of the system. Inside, we've got the furnace that moves the air through the home with a blower and a heating appliance in that. And then the third component is the evaporative coil. Now, the evaporative coil is connected to the condenser, and all of these work together during the AC side, or as what's right around the corner is the cooling months. On the furnace side, the blower and the furnace are the only thing that operate during the heating cycle. Let's talk about what the outdoor unit does and what you need to look for in making sure that it is providing better comfort and lower utility bills. I will tell you throughout the whole system, one of the things that we need to make sure that your system is, and that's clean. Because 80% of the problems that could cause a failure on your system comes from things outside the unit, like dirt, and mainly it's just dirt and grime. That's why we changed the filter. But this system, let's talk a little bit about this. This is called the condenser. And the condenser is what gets rid of the heat in the home. It has a coil around it and a fan motor that moves the air across the coil and gets rid of the heat in the refrigerant. Well, if we have dirt and grime, and here in Texas we have a lot of cottonwood during the spring, if that gets on the coil, it restricts the flow and it reduces our ability to get rid of the heat. So let's say it's February, March, and every once in a while we get a 90-degree day in March. You won't know you have a problem if you don't have it cleaned and checked, because it will still cool the home. It will just run longer while it's cooling it. That thermostat will get satisfied, but you paid more money to the utility company because your coil wasn't clean. A lot of my customers have asked me, hey, the compressor outside isn't running. Just want to make sure we clarify something. This whole box, I call it the box outside because it's easier to understand. This is the condenser. It condenses the refrigerant and we get a heat transfer, and that's how we get rid of the heat. But I hear a lot of people talk about this as the compressor. This is not the compressor. The compressor is actually inside, and it's the heart of the system. It has pistons, and it's what moves the refrigerant through the system. That compressor is key, and it's a very, very expensive replacement if you have to repair that part. Sometimes $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Did you know a $200 service call to replace a capacitor that makes sure that that compressor is working properly can save and extend the life of your equipment? So guys, if you want the heart of your system to run longer, make sure that when you have your system checked, even if it's just a service call, have the service technician check your capacitors to make sure, because it's a minimal expense to keep you from a very, very expensive replacement. Here's another thing that can really kill a compressor, and that is if it has to run at a higher temperature or it overheats, because heat is not good to the compressor. Just like heat is not good to your car. That's why you have a radiator on your car. Well, guess what? This has a radiator too. It's an indoor coil where the refrigerant goes through. Remember I said everything needs to stay clean? Well, there's a coil around this condenser, and that's where the air passes through. It's critically important in the spring that you have your coils washed and cleaned. Now, it can be water washed, it can be chemically cleaned, because it can cause restriction. We talked about cottonwood getting on that coil. If that happens, that's restricting the airflow. But that coil actually has aluminum, in most cases, to it. If there's dirt and grime on that aluminum, a water wash is not going to take care of that. So what we have to do is use a chemical, safe to the environment, but a chemical that's citric that will clean that aluminum so that you get the best heat transfer and your money stays in your pocket and doesn't go to the utility company. You know, one of the things I hear from a lot of my customers say, it's not cooling, it needs more Freon. Well, that's not always the case. But checking the refrigerant levels, or what you might know as Freon, we call it refrigerant because there are many different types of refrigerant for different types of systems. But if that system is not charged properly, then we're not going to get rid of the maximum amount of heat out of your house. So while it might not always be refrigerant, you remember we talked about the coils being clean? Don't want to get into a physics class here, but if we restrict the air across the coil because there's dirt outside, your technician may possibly charge the system improperly because he's getting improper readings. Once again, your system, coils outside, which is here by the condenser, we're going to talk about it inside with the evaporative coil, must be clean to be charged properly. Whatever you do, make sure that your refrigerant is checked and those refrigerant levels are at the right level to maximize efficiency, comfort, and extend the life of your equipment. We were out by the condenser and we talked about how important that is. And you'll notice that I'm back by the back side of the unit. This is where the air is returning from your home and going through the system. This is your furnace right here. Your filter goes right here. Your evaporative coil, which we're going to talk a little bit about it outside, but that's what's attached. If you see these copper tubes here, that attaches to the condenser outside, what I like to call the box outside. And so what I want to do now is just talk about the air filter. Remember we talked about dirt and grime causing a problem? Your filter is extremely important to change out frequently. And the reason that is because any kind of dirt or grime, the filter catches before it goes to the coil. As you can see, the evaporative coil is much more encased. We can't clean it as easily as the outdoor unit, so this is much more expensive to you in out-of-pocket costs because we have to go into the system and clean the coil. Filter, I can't tell you enough how important it is to change your filter frequently. And so when we do that, the only thing you need to do is make sure which way is the air going. So remember I said the air is returning back here and going through the system. We need that arrow going in the same way of the airflow. So what I'm going to do is make sure that that arrow is pointed this way. I'll slide it right back in there and seal it up real good. That's all you need to know about the filter. It's a small, insignificant cost to you and your home, but it can save you hundreds of dollars on utility costs, extend the life of your equipment, and also lower your utility bills. Let's move on. Don't want to step through an attic here. So this is your furnace. Now a furnace is gas. This is our gas line right here. But you might have all electric, and that's called an air handler. But they basically do the same thing. They heat your home. A part of the furnace or air handler is the blower motor. And the blower motor is what moves the air through your system. And so remember we talked about the three key components. Furnace and the blower motor are in the same compartment together. And then next is your evaporative coil. Let's talk about the evaporative coil. Now we said the evaporative coil is much like the radiator in your car. Refrigerant moves to the system through this small line and returns back to the condenser to get rid of the heat. One pipe's a little bigger than the other. One we call the liquid, one we call the suction. So that's our evaporative coil, our furnace or air handler, our blower motor, and our filter. Now you know more about your air conditioning system than you probably ever wanted to know. The condenser, the outdoor unit, the furnace, the indoor unit, and the coil also attached to the condenser. But hey, we'd really appreciate any comments down below. We'd sure like you to like us on our YouTube page. And also, hey, if you want to subscribe, please subscribe. We'll send you more videos that'll helpful just like this one.